Good morning.
It is.
My question is about getting up to speed with a calling or purpose where it seems like there's more put in by your subconscious or contrast than you're putting in. So an example being how Esther came to Abraham, that was slowly revealed to her.
It's not quite like that. It isn't that Source is slowly revealing to you. It's that Source is revealing to you and you're getting it only to the degree that you're ready to get it. Because there's no assertion. We can't thrust our clever knowing upon you.
Right.
We can just know it and offer it in all the ways we know. And we do have a sense of what your beliefs are that you might be tripping over. So we can guide you around those a little bit. But you don't need to worry about it. Source is answering it. And if you are sincere about wanting to know your answer, it will come to you in one way or another.
Right. So I guess my example is I came in April and started meditating, and I had similar experiences. I had chair rocking. I had the question answered in Houston, but I was not up to speed with that energy, and so I kind of backed off of that. And so it's not like I have a calling to be a doctor, lawyer, accountant. It feels like there's a purpose not revealed to me, and I'm having to undo layers of an onion versus...
That's really not how it is. So you're talking about a calling. So we want to explain what that calling that you're talking about is. You were Source energy before you came into this physical body. And yes, you had intentions. And you could call that a calling. I want to be an uplifter. I want to be of value to myself and others. I want to have a wonderful life. I want to live in joy and love. You had all of those powerful intentions. But the details, the way that all played out, was really left to you to decide based upon the data that you were exploring and the contrast that you were living. And so when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. And through that process of living life, you stepped right in, without even needing to know about it, into a creative process where you were launching rockets of desire continuously. If someone's rude, you know you want them to be nicer. When you don't feel good, you know you want to feel better. You know you want thriving for yourself and others. So there was so much life experience that caused you to identify what you wanted. And here's something important. To identify what you wanted beyond what you were currently experiencing. Because if there is any, and so you were currently experiencing. Because if there is anything that you really are, it's an expansive, evolving, creative being. And so more clarity and more knowledge and more opportunity to love and be loved, more wonderful life, more joy, more potential for all things. That's really what you are powerfully about. So when you launch those rockets of desire from the contrast that everyone is living, you are not a vibrational match to the new. You are a vibrational match to what is. What is the platform that causes the bouncing off of the more. Well, once you bounce off into a new request, a new decision, a new preference, a new desire, once that launches from you, now you've got some serious catching up to do, because life caused you most for it. And you can have it. And if you don't, you'll be miserable. And the reason you'll be miserable, you and your human body will be miserable, is because when you ask, your inner being went where you ask and became what you ask for. Now, before any of this is going to make sense, we have to get some things sort of out here in the open. You're vibrational mostly, and you don't know it. And your inner being is vibrational only, and you often don't know it. Consciousness is all around you, and you are consciousness primarily. So when you launch a rocket of desire, a thought about something that you want, there is a vibrational reality that happens. And since you are mostly vibration, if you don't catch up with that vibrational reality, because your inner being did immediately, then vibrational separation within you, which equals your guidance system. When you feel negative emotion, it always means your inner being joined your new request. And all that is has gathered the harmonic, cooperative components to it. And when you feel negative emotion, it means you are the exceptional holdout to that. And the reason that you often don't go right along with your own beliefs or with your own desires is because you have beliefs that contradict them. I can't do that. I'm not good at that. I've never done that. I don't know people who mostly do that. My mother might not like it if I do that. What would other people think if I do that?
Or this is way too big. This is big, you know.
It's too big for me. It's too much for me. I'm too humble to allow it. There are all kinds of things that you have come to believe. Remember, a belief is just a thought you continue to think. But it's also a thought that equals a vibration that is active. So an active vibration that feels like doubt because it contradicts your desire. So we can tell you all day long, you can be or do or have anything. But until you know that yourself, which takes some practice, because, dear friends, you've been practicing otherwise. And your thoughts are where you last left them. And so what happens that is so wonderful is that life causes you to launch desires. Whoops, didn't mean to do that because I don't believe it. Wish I could suck that back because I don't believe it. And the problem that you face is that your inner being does believe it, because your inner being knows about you. Your inner being knows your power and your value. And that's that calling that you were talking about. Your inner being knows it and abundant toward it. But sometimes it's awkward when the call is coming. Come over here, you brilliant one. No, I can't. I'm not brilliant. Come here, you wise and wonderful one, and experience all of this abundance that you are worthy of. No, I cannot do that because I've been taught that there is not spirituality and abundance in the same place. So it takes some letting go of beliefs that don't serve you in order to harmonize with the calling or the believing that your inner being has about you. And once you get the hang of that, you said something really pleasing to us. You said you've been meditating. And we like that because when you meditate, when you accomplish effective meditation, you quiet your mind. And when you quiet your mind, you stop the vibration temporarily of those hindering beliefs. And when you stop temporarily those hindering beliefs, your vibration rises to the equivalency of your inner being. And for that time, you might not consciously be able to translate it into words. You might not be able to explain it, but you cease the doubting. You stop the contradiction. And you allow yourself to abide in, to practice, to be enveloped in the vibration that your inner being holds for you. And if you do that for a little while, your inner being will help you to realize how wonderful you are, how powerful you are, most of all, how worthy of wonderful things you are, you see. Effective meditation means really quieting your mind. And really quieting your mind means not thinking about stuff, but quieted your mind for a bit. Esther likes to focus on a sound in a room. Can you hear the air conditioner? Kind of listen. It's subtle. But you know what? Source is subtle too. You're not subtle. You're not subtle. You're loud and obvious. And you've trained yourself to the loud and obvious. So you hear the loud and obvious easily. Source is subtle. You got to tune yourself to that frequency. You got to tune yourself. And when you get good at tuning yourself to that subtle difference, then when thoughts drop into your mind, you'll know where they came from. Helpful?
Yes.
What more?
Slightly different angle on that is the process. I mean, there's the processes, but if something is more, or is there a case where there's more contrast-driven, whatever you want to call it, purpose, whatever you're
Important to
whatever you want to call it, purpose, whatever you're doing or wanting, when it's driven more by the contrast, what you've had through life versus what your just plain desires are, saying, I want this, consciously putting that in the vortex. So it's driven more.
We like your choice of word driven. It's important to this conversation, and we have not discussed this before in this way. So you say, my desires are driven by my contrast. We would say, softer, the contrast gave birth to my desire. Now, the driven part, so important, because am I motivated by what I don't want? Not such a good idea. Or am I called by what I do want? That's the inspiration between motivation and inspiration. And you're talking about inspiration. You started with the words calling. So the way you know the difference, what you do, if you feel urgency, got to get this done, irritation at yourself or at others, then you are kind of trying to drive it, and it does not work because you're more actively offering a vibration about what you don't want. So you're actually creating more contrast than you are open pathways. So sometimes we know it must be confusing to you, because sometimes we talk to you about deliberate creation. We say, think your thoughts on purpose. We say, imagine it the way you want it to be. Tell a different story. And then other times we say to you, just let it happen. Chill out. Quiet your mind. Let the inspiration come. And you think, Abraham, you're sort of schizophrenic here, because one time you make it sound like we should really think, and another time you make it sound, let it be, let the good things come to us. And here's the difference. Here's why. We're going to start at the beginning of this. So let's say that you know what you don't want, which means you know what you do want on some level. And whether you know it or not, whether you say it or not, you're launching these rockets of desire. You've put your request in, and step one has taken place. You have asked. Out loud or not, doesn't matter. Source hears it, recognizes it, joins the desire that you have discovered, holds the vibrational attitude of it. So step two has happened. You've asked step one, source answered step two. But it's in a vibrational format that you can't see yet. It still is in the gestation process. It still has to evolve. It has to become. These vibrations have to turn to thoughts and things. Well, that's where step three is. And that's what meditation does. As you focus upon a sound in a room instead of the things that are bothering you, as you take your attention from not being able to pay your bills and put it upon something so not interesting that your mind really is quieted, like the hum in a room. As you manage to quiet your mind, now, hear this. Now, there's only one part of you in this moment active, and guess which part it is? Your inner being part. Did you get that? We've never said this so clearly before. Because you are this wonderful personality, but you are also this non-physical energy. And there is a constant vibrational relationship, this you personality and this non-physical inner being personality. So when you ask, your inner being gets right on it and holds undivided attention upon what you want. No undivided attention upon what you want. No doubt, no fear, no remembering it not happening, no focusing on other people where it didn't go well. Only pure, concentrated attention upon the pure essence of what you've asked for. That part of you is locked on to what you want, and therefore the beginning of the creative process is happening. And this vibrational reality is such a real thing that we've called it a vortex, wrote 2 books about it. We so want you to understand its reality. It is becoming, but just like the baby in the womb, it's not ready to be born yet. There's a gestation process that is underway, and your inner being is tending to that. So now you've got to find some way to be a match to what you want, not stay a match to the reason that you ask for it. So if you continue to beat the drum of why you need it, justifying and defending and explaining, trying to get other people to relate to you, then you hold yourself, you don't mean to, but you hold yourself vibrationally apart. You've launched, and if you do affirmations, if you write lists of things that you want about it while you still feel that way, you're trying to drive it, not allow it to call you. You're trying to motivate yourself, not allow yourself to be inspired. Is that differentiation helpful to you? But let's say that you've launched the rockets, you've been doing it for a while. You understand about vibration, you understand about emotions in your guidance system. You know about your inner being, and you care about being aligned with your inner being as much as you can. So every morning you get up, and early in the day, before other things get going, you do quiet your mind. You focus upon something that's not interesting, like the boring sound of a motor running in your house. Sometimes the refrigerator is a good thing to focus on. You can even focus on your breathing. Esther, for a while, would hold a note, and then she would hold it in her mind. Doesn't matter what it is, just something that doesn't have much connection. Doing that thing that doesn't have much connection or attachment or thought properties. And so then you quiet your mind, your vibration rises, just like the cork. The cork's floating on the body of water. You hold it down, that's what negative emotion is. Let go of it, it will float back up there. It will float up. Your vibration will rise to the vibrational equivalency. We're not pushing, it just rises. It rises, don't push it, that's driving. Just stop doing that thing you do and it will rise. So now you've quieted your mind, your vibration rises, and now, hear this, now, you are a perfect vibrational match because you're no longer doing that thing you usually do. You are a perfect vibrational match to what you've been asking for. And now, you and your inner being are one. And now, what your inner being knows about what you want and what you know about what you want are the same thing. And if you do that on a regular basis, you will begin to receive insight. You'll just know where to be. Know where to be. Your timing will be better. Your rendezvousing with others will be better. You will witness, because you're right at the doorway of your vortex and everything that you want is in there. You'll start receiving from that. That's what inspiration is. And that's not driving. That's hearing the calling. That's knowing what your inner being knows about the things that you've asked for. Helpful? Really good.
Thank you.
Really good. Some new things, several new things from what you asked about.
I'm sorry?
Several new